the Zodiac. The Greek for zodiac is zodiakos kyklos, which is zodiac for short. There's an important association with this Greek form and a Hebrew word, zadok. To start, the ancients began the year at the spring equinox, which occurs around March 21st. At that time of the year, the constellation Aries was in the sky for about 1 month, and then Taurus rises. The constellations, their symbols, and prominence are tabled below.
Aries, the ram, the sun enters March 21st, the first day of the year, and leaves April 19th. It's the first month, March to April. Taurus, the bull, the sun enters April 20th, and leaves May 20th, the second month, April through May. Gemini, the twins, sun enters May 2nd, and leaves June 21st, the third month, May through June. Cancer, the crab, sun enters June 22nd, and leaves July 22nd, fourth month, June to July. Leo, the lion, enters July 23rd, leaves August 22nd, fifth month, July to August. Virgo, the virgin, enters August 23rd, leaves September 22nd, sixth month, August to September. Libra, the scales, enters September 23rd, leaves October 23rd, seventh month, September to October. Scorpio, the scorpion, enters October 24th, leaves November 21st, eighth month, October to November. Sagittarius, the archer, sun enters November 22nd, and leaves December 21st. It's the ninth month, November to December. Capricorn, the goat, enters December 22nd, leaves January 19th, 10th month, December to January. Aquarius, the water bearer, sun enters January 20th, and leaves February 18th, the 11th month, January to February. Pisces, the fish, the sun enters February 19th, and leaves March 20th. It's the 12th month, February to March.
So, what can we say about this table? In Genesis 49 and Deuteronomy 33, we find Jacob giving a blessing to his sons. We can identify some of these symbols with his sons. Judah is a lion, Reuben is unstable as water, Ephraim, the glory of Joseph, is a bull, and Simeon and Levi are blessed together as brethren. We also find Dan compared to serpent. However, we know that serpents, locusts, and scorpions all represent the enemy. Recall the tails of scorpions to sting men, appearing with the serpents. Let's add a column to the above table. We have Ephraim, the bull, in the second month, Judah, the lion, in the fifth month, Dan, the scorpion, in the eighth month, and Reuben, the water-bearer, in the 11th month. When we divide the ancient Hebrew calendar into quarters, we see each of them occupying the center positions. Reuben was the firstborn. Dan is judge. Judah is the king line, and Ephraim is the glory of Joseph, who was most favored and received a double portion, one for each son, as though they were Jacob's sons. When we go to Numbers 2, we find the designated camp placement of all the tribes, with the Levites and the tabernacle at the center. We find Ephraim on the west, Dan on the north, Judah on the east, and Reuben on the south.
Dan, the north side, the scorpion, and the serpent all have a special relationship.
Once we suspect a relationship, by observing a pattern that fits, we should continue to investigate. The other sons can be connected to the other symbols of the constellations by looking at the roots of their names or making an association with their blessing. For example, Zebulun was told he would be a haven for ships, which is a protected port/cove. This suggests one involved in the fishing industry, since that was a major economic activity on the coasts. And digging to the root meaning of Manasseh, we find goat included as an application.
Manasseh. Men. Esh. Sheh. From H 5382, causing to forget. Manasseh, a grandson of Jacob, also the tribe descendant from him, and its territory. Manasseh. The third syllable is J. Probably from H 7582, through the idea of pushing out to graze. a member of a flock, that is, a sheep or goat, lesser or small, cattle, ewe, lamb, sheep.
For Asher, there's a very special study, the bread of life, and there is only one who could be fit into that title. Asher was identified as producer bread.
Genesis 49:20. Out of Asher, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties.
And the bread of life conception was a result of advanced technology, possibly a procedure like in vitro fertilization. It produced a virgin birth. Let's fill in a few more pieces of the puzzle in the table.
We now have Ephraim's flag on the west, in the 2nd month, flanked by Simeon and Levi as representative, in the 3rd month. Then Judah's flag on the east in the 5th month, flanked by Asher, in the 6th month. Dan is still in the middle of his quarter, the 8th month. Reuben's flag is on the south, in the 11th month, flanked by Manasseh in the 10th and Zebulun in the 12th.
Something interesting manifests when we fill in the blocks in this way. Reuben and Manasseh, both firstborns and passed over for the younger, are side by side. For Issachar, an analysis of his name yields lift and benefit, reward, wages, and compensation. While the scales of Libra can represent justice, the use of scales was a primary way to complete transactions in those times, weighing out payments for wages and compensation. Assign Issachar to the scales. For Gad, we find a definition of attacks the heel or attacks the rear guard of the enemy. That this suggests a weapon. And if we go to Moses' blessing of Gad in Deuteronomy 33:20, we find that he teareth the arm with the crown of the head. It sounds like nonsense. However, if we go to Hebrew, we find tear is pluck out, pull off, rend to pieces, provide food. The arm has stretched out force mighty. And crown of the head is the crown of the head as the part most bowed. So, what makes more sense? Gad will rend the enemy to pieces with the crown of his head. Or, we are given a message that Gad plucks arrows from his quiver and fires his bow with an outstretched arm to attack the enemy. Let's go with the latter and assign Gad to the archer and insert Issachar. And let's also divide the year in two, which also indicates the center of the encampment where Yahweh's inner chamber is, within the tabernacle.
Ephraim's and Judah's camps are unchanged. However, Dan's and Reuben's are now filled. The 3rd and 4th quarters of the calendar are completed. The 1st and 2nd quarters now need to be filled.
This leaves 2 slots to fill, one for Benjamin and one for Naphtali. But what about the constellations themselves? Using astronomy software and setting the time to approximately 1500 BC, in the month of March, near the time of the equinox, we find the following. This is an amazing observation. At sunrise, the moon is in Aquarius, in the south sky, the position of Reuben's flag. At sunset, the sun is in Aries in the west sky, and Leo is in the east sky. Leo is the flag of the east side of the camp. And recall that Aries is associated with Ephraim's camp on the west. 3 constellations for each camp. The constellation positions in the sky align with the tribe's positions in the camp. This is truly astounding. Passages in Enoch discussing stars, bulls, and other things may become more understandable with this knowledge in mind. The only constellation that doesn't appear in the sky at that time is Scorpio, the north side, Dan's side. But the north side is a special side, as we will see. Serpens, the serpent, though, does make a cameo appearance in the north after sunset. Also of note is that Draco the dragon dominates the northern sky. Upon further investigation, we find that Scorpio is a southern hemisphere constellation. It rises in the southeast.
Per AI overview for the location. In the sky, Scorpius is a southern hemisphere constellation and is located near the center of the Milky Way. When viewing from the north, you should look towards the southern horizon.
It rises in the southeast and sets in the southwest. However, On the same day as we find all the other symbols, in cardinal directions corresponding to camps of the tribes, except for Dan, we find Scorpio at its maximum, directly in the southern sky, at around the second hour of the second watch of the night as shown to the right.
Sunset marked the end of the day, and thus the beginning of the next. Days were measured sundown to sundown.
So, we have Draco the dragon, Serpens the serpent, and Scorpio the scorpion all in the night sky, and Scorpio is at its maximum, directly in the south, almost like an observer, surveying the other constellations we have discussed at night. This is important to note, because the sun governs the day and the children of light, whereas the moon governs the night and the children of darkness.